Hi students, my name is Miss Cassandra Limburg Finance, and in this Geography Grade 9 lesson, we'll be discussing a very important topic, mountain formation, but specifically fold mountains. In our last lesson, we looked at plate movements and plate boundaries. We noted there are three types of boundaries. These are conservative, constructive, and destructive plate boundaries. We also looked at their resulting landforms. We said at constructive plate boundaries, plates move away from each other. In conservative plate boundaries, plates slide past each other, and in destructive, they collide. Additionally, we noted at destructive plate margins, either two things could occur, either subduction or collision. It was also noted that collision occurs when two continental crusts collide, and unable to sink, they are forced upwards, forming what is called fold mountains. Well, in this lesson, we will be looking at mountain formation, especially fold mountains. Mountains are classified based on how they are formed. They can be formed based on fault blocks, forming fault mountains, as a result of volcanic activities, forming volcanic mountains, or folding, as a result of folding, forming fold mountains. And these are generally the three types of mountain formation that exist. Please note, most mountains are formed at convergent boundaries, where continents have collided. Now, what are fold mountains? Fold mountains are the most common type of mountain that exists. The world's largest mountain ranges are fold mountains. These ranges are formed over millions of years. Fold mountains are formed when two plates collide head-on and their edges crumble, much the same way as a piece of paper would fold if you push them together. Whenever an area of sea is separated by two plates, remember in our last lesson, we said there are never any gaps in the Earth's crust. So whenever an area of the sea is separated by two plates, something called a depression is formed. And in this depression, sediments from the water body above settles in this area. And this area is called a geosyncline. These settlements gradually become compressed into what is called sedimentary rocks. Now, when the two plates move together, the layer of sedimentary rocks on the floor, the sea floor, crumbles and they begin to fold. Eventually, the sedimentary rocks appears above the sea level in the form of mountain ranges, fold mountain ranges. Now, this is an illustration that describes how it occurs. As we see in part A of the illustration, we see the geosyncline, which is the depression between the two plates. The arrows above is showing sediments from the river falling into the depression, accumulating at the bottom of the seabed. In the B part of this illustration, we're seeing after a period of time, these sediments are compressed and compacted together, forming sedimentary rocks. Now, when the two plates start to move towards each other, the plates are compressed and the rocks start to fold, as we can see in part C. As they fold, they are forced up out of the water, forming what we know today as fold mountains. Now, there are three types of folds that may occur during this process. Anticline, where the rocks are folded upwards. Synclines, where the rocks are folded downwards. And naps, when the rocks are formed due to severe folding and faulting. Now, here's a simple exercise that we can use to understand the formation of fold mountains. I'd like you to collect at least 10 kitchen towels or rags. You lay them down flat on a surface, one on top of the other. It'll be very good if these rags or kitchen towels are of different colors as illustrated in the diagram above. Now, using two boxes or bins, you place them to the side of the towels, and with the help of someone in your home, push together. At the same time, you push together, and the resulting formation that we'll see from the rags is an indication of how fold mountains are formed. Now do that exercise and see if your result would be as the one illustrated in our diagram. Now, here's a map that shows the distribution of fold mountains. We can see the Andes, the Rockies, Himalayas. We can see the Alps. In this map, the yellow area indicates where there are young fold mountains. It also shows major volcanic areas and earthquake zone. But of interest to this lesson, we know the areas where the young fold mountains have developed. So here are a few examples of fold mountains. We have the Himalayas mountains in Asia, we have the Alps in Europe, and we have the Andes in South America. The Himalayas mountains were formed when the Indian crushed into the Asian plate, right? They pushed up, forming the tallest mountain range on the continent. In South America, the Andes mountains were formed by the collision of the South American continental plate and the Pacific oceanic plate. Now we're going to look at the Alps as an example of the fold mountains. The Alps in Europe stretches across Italy, Australia, and France. Here, the tiny Adriatic microplate is crushed into the much larger Eurasian plate. The mountains include rocks that were once part of the ocean floor and that were lifted up during the process of folding. Now, here are some characteristics specific to the Alps. Its mountain ranges are very high, and it's about 4,810 meters above sea level. There are glaciated valleys, there are ribbon lakes, there are fast-flowing rivers, contrasting microclimate on the northern-facing side, and on the southern-facing side, there are many slopes. Geologically, this fold mountain is considered to be young, very young, about 30 to 40 million years old. For your homework, you're required to identify and elaborate on the human activities in the Alps as it pertains to tourism, farming, hydroelectric power, and other industries. Now our lesson in summary. In this lesson, we looked at fold mountains and we noted they are formed when material and sediment is deposited into the large depression in the sea. Over time, these depressions become completely full and compressed into rocks. When the plates moving towards each other compresses them, they are forced upwards and turned into what is called fold mountains. This has brought us to the end of our lesson, where we looked at fold mountain formation. I am Miss Cassandra Limburg Finance. See you next time in our lesson, where we'll be looking at another interesting topic. Bye, students.